Hello, everybody. I'd say happy Monday because I've been having a Monday for 3 days now and it hasn't stopped. How's everybody doing?
A lot better now.
Look at that smile on your face. Oh, wow. You have color in your cheeks. You look awesome.
We got the keys back. Yeah.
I am impressed.
County, city that they're.
Erica says they're continuing on with this rent moratorium.
Yes, from what I understand, LA County is kind of piggybacking on the state law right now. And from what I see, when the state law ends at the end of this month, the county will go back to their moratorium on July 1st. So, and from what I see, that is going through currently until December 31st of the end of this year. And they are talking of extending it until June of next year. So I am so glad you got your house back.
It's ridiculous. Everybody's going to work. Nobody's wearing masks. Everybody's going to outdoor events. It's all normal now.
But is there any language we can put in the new contract, in the new lease, that can prevent us from somebody claiming COVID or any other disaster and not paying rent?
Not that I'm aware of, and I'm being dead flat honest with you. There will be another pandemic. We will have something else come about. Welcome to America. Okay. Don't mean to say that in a bad way, but I'm just saying, I don't know of any language you could use at this time that would shield you from the government telling you what you can and can't do. We don't have those kind of teeth. I can say that for any new incoming tenants moving in, they don't have COVID protections. So anybody new coming in cannot claim COVID and not pay their rent or jump on that bandwagon. So for new tenants coming in, COVID does not protect them. Okay.
Well, I heard
hope that
would not
helps.
be, that would be also true for LA County for newcomers, you think?
Yes. Anybody that moved into your property on or after, I believe it was October 1st of last year, can't move in and then claim COVID. The pandemic period and protected period are done and over with. So if they've lived there through the pandemic, different set of facts. But if they're just now moving in, they wouldn't have protections from COVID. Still letting people in. If you guys have questions, ask them, please. Pick my brain. I'm not giddy, happy-go-lucky Patty. I've been moonlighting, just so you know. I'm actually a chairman of the San Bernardino County Fair. So this whole weekend, I've been at the fair every day. No rest, relaxation for Patty. So I'm feeling it. I'm mentally and physically exhausted, but still my brain's functioning fine. So you got to pick them out of me today. I'm not going to be bubbly, go get them, Patty. I've been having a Monday now for about the last 5 days. Sorry, hate to say it that way, but it is. I'm human just like the rest of us. And this is one of those weeks where I'm feeling it from every possible angle. So forgive me for not being my total bubbly self and asking you and teaching you. You guys are going to have to pick my brain if you want something today. I don't have information to just hand off to you today. Other than the extensions of LA's moratorium, I'll tell you guys what we're going to see starting July 1st. Don't shoot me, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. As soon as the state's law disappears on June 30th, starting July 1st, that gives municipalities the power to write their own moratoriums regarding COVID. So what did I just say in simple English, you guys? And I'm not looking forward to this, just so you know. In the beginning of the pandemic, if you guys remember, before we had a state law, or an assembly bill that governed everybody, if you will. A moratorium from the state. We had a lot of municipalities, meaning local cities and counties, having their own moratoriums regarding COVID. And I wanted to rip my hair out because there were so many of them, I couldn't keep track. Every time somebody would call about a city, I'd have to Google that city and look it up that way in order to answer a question, because so many cities across Southern California have their own rules. With that being said, please pay attention to what I'm going to say to you, okay? On June 30th, when the state's moratorium ends, starting July 1st, it gives counties and cities the rights to write their own moratoriums regarding COVID. For the most part, we're not seeing other counties other than San Diego and Los Angeles have these rules. Now, the county of Los Angeles's moratorium will kick back in on July 1st and go through the end of the year calling for no evictions, nuisance only, yeah, blah, 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 blah. The same thing that we had 4 months ago. That now kicks back in. But what I'm trying to say to you, and I'll give you an example, in the county of San Bernardino, we don't have anybody actively trying to pass new moratoriums for COVID repayments, etc. So the county may not have a rule, but one of the cities may decide, maybe the city of Victorville, and I'm just giving you an example. Don't quote me to this. None of this is happening. Okay. I'm giving you an example. So if the county doesn't have any restrictions, then they may implement it in the municipalities, meaning the cities that govern us. So although the county of San Bernardino may not have a restriction, the city of Victorville might. And that's where I'm going to want to rip my hair out again, because individual cities can come up with their own moratorium. As far as LA County goes, they're more restrictive. So whichever's more restrictive would be what controls you when it comes to restrictions. So remember that if you're not governed by the city, then you could be covered by the county. If you're not covered by the county, then you're covered by the state. If you're not covered by the state, then you're covered by the nation. Got it? That's how that works. I know. So anticipate seeing a lot more municipalities coming up with their own rules. I don't think that we'll see much of that in LA County, because the county has their own moratorium that's very restrictive. So with that being said, I don't think that we'll see municipalities within LA County come up with their own COVID moratoriums, but don't be surprised if we see that in other areas. One that I'd like to point out is probably in Orange County. Just saying, Santa Ana, I have no doubt, in my opinion, will probably come up with their own moratorium, since they now have their own form of rent control there. Lovely. Okay, so just saying, we're going to have to start watching the municipalities to see what they're coming up with. Do you still suggest taking less than a 12-month lease for new tenants? If you hate them, you have the capability to terminate tenancy. All right, is everybody coming back in? I don't know what happened. My whole system went cattywampus. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! Okay, we're back. I had some technical difficulties. I'm getting everybody back in, so bear with me, you guys. So sorry. I told you guys I was having a Monday all week long. This is adamant proof of it. All of a sudden, my signal just died. It's like, you're gone. See you later. Bye. I'm just letting everybody get logged back on, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Remember at the beginning of this meeting when I told you I was having a Monday all week long? This is proof of it. Okay. Everything is happening to me. All right. So what I was saying was that and I'm still letting people in, is I anticipate us seeing some of the municipalities come up with their own COVID restrictions as we continue forward. For the most part, we're only seeing extensions in our metropolis areas, which are County of Los Angeles and County of San Diego. We're not hearing much of anything going on in Riverside, San Bernardino counties, Ventura counties. We should be back to business as normal starting on July 1st. So starting July 1st, we should be back to business as normal in most counties, with the exception of LA County and San Diego County, where we can continue to see additional restrictions regarding COVID throughout the year, most likely. I learned that heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions against landlords. So with that being said, please know that if you're in a metropolis, you're probably going to be restricted. Can you review again? Hang on, I'm trying to pull that up. And I'm sorry I lost all you guys. I don't know what happened. Can you review again what ends from the state on June 30th and one starts July 1st in San Diego City? The state law that currently did an extension for 90 days so that tenants or landlords could be paid the COVID relief funds. The state wanted an additional 90 days to pay off us as landlords. That is ending. So with that state law ending on June 30th, on July 1st, it gives municipalities, meaning your cities and counties, the authority to issue their own moratoriums, their own laws, temporary laws, supporting COVID. So we will see an extension of LA County re-extending their no eviction protections throughout the county until the end of the year. And we anticipate to see some restrictions also in San Diego County. I know the city of San Diego runs very similar to the city of Los Angeles as far as tenant protections go. So we're starting to see them follow suit with city of LA. So we have to wait and see what moratorium come about. I know La Mesa's been having city council meetings to whether or not they're going to extend and so on and so forth. The reality is we're going to have to wait and see. As it gets closer, you can anticipate hearing more about it. If you're not a member of the local apartment association there, I highly suggest you get involved with them, or at least stay in the know with them so that you know what's coming on and what's going away and how that's affecting us. But for the most part, I think we'll see extensions in the county of San Diego in various cities. And also entire Los Angeles County will continue to have their just cause evictions through the end of the year. Okay, I hope all that makes sense to everybody. I am getting mixed messages on the housing market. Some say it's still great. Most say it's declining with crash expected. Any news on your end? I'm going to be dead set honest with you. I have to be very, very careful what I say because I'm a broker, but please know I do not participate in real estate sales transactions unless it's for me personally. In other words, I don't do sales. Have a lot of people involved in the industry, a lot of people right there. In some areas, it's holding strong. In some areas, they're starting to see a decrease in activity. So with all due respect, that's going to determine the area your property is located in and how it's being impacted. How many tenants are trying to purchase, how many new loans are coming through versus how many people are going, I can't buy, I don't want to buy, I'm not buying. So we still have a huge supply and demand issue regarding housing and providing housing. But yes, I would agree with you. The market is definitely, we can't keep going this direction. I know I've been saying that. And if you want a more accurate statement on what's going on the market, I'd be more than happy to reach out to my real estate broker friend, pull up the multiple listing service, and it usually tells us a lot. We can tell by how many days a new listing is sitting on the market before it has offers and activity. Okay, that tells us a lot. We can tell if prices are going up or going down, depending on how many are on the market and what that activity is like. So there's a lot of moving pieces to come up with a current market analysis that lets us know what areas are affecting and starting to see the stalemate, if you will, where it's dying off. I haven't heard people talking about prices coming down per se yet. So as we see all these changes come about, we'll know exactly which direction this is headed. But the reality, in my opinion, isn't going to change at all. Fill up your buckets while the grunion are running, because they're not going to run forever, folks. We can't keep paying $80 for a sheet of plywood and $20 for a 2x4. And I do realize the prices come down a little bit, but not that much. I mean, come on, you guys, a 2x4 used to be like $1.89. What happened? So with that being said, we're still seeing high skyrocketing prices at the grocery store. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, you know, you buy groceries. Remember when we used to buy 2 bags of groceries for $100? Remember? Well, now 2 bags of groceries is $200. Okay. you know, you're feeling it at the gas pump with commodities, everything. So as simply and nicely as I could say this, we're not getting paid anymore, but we're having to pay more. That can't continue to keep going in the direction it's going. It's setting us all up for failure. Paying attention? Do you hear me between the lines? Okay. Am I saying the market is crashing? No, but it's sure not growing. We're sure not expanding. The stock market, you know, it's all kind of uncertainty. I'll leave my statement at that. I don't know how long the real estate market is going to hold on. I would hope that it would last through the summer. It might not. It might not. We as landlords are really feeling the residual effects of having our houses held hostage against us. I mean, some of us haven't gotten any rent in years. I did not say months. Pay attention. And we're still in a position where maybe we can't do anything about it, or maybe we're trying to do something about it and we're bleeding money with our legal counsel, trying to get the courts to help us. And it's extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. And in the meantime, our tenants are driving new cars and buying houses of their own, but still holding ours hostage. I mean, when we told people you can't come to work anymore because of COVID, we need to work from home. We taught a lot of people how they don't need commercial office space anymore. Now that tenants are supposed to be paying rent and they haven't had to pay rent for 2 years, we're having to retrain them to pay their rent again. And if we can't do that, our recourse is to evict. And for those of us that can't evict because the city has our hands tied or the county has our hands tied, makes it extremely difficult for us to continue to function and see any light at the end of the tunnel, because we're bleeding financially. And that causes anxiety and mental pain and anguish and suffering. And I don't even have to get you guys started. I know, you know, it hurts. And if we're managing property for profit and we have our landlords upset, they direct that anger and frustration towards us as the property manager, thinking that we have more power than they do, and we don't. But that takes a toll on us too mentally, because we're dealing with an upset landlord, a tenant that won't even talk to us, and we're trying to evict and so forth. So with that being said, I will say this: for those of you that manage investment property for profit, and I'm not talking about landlords, I'm talking about property managers. If you guys are property managers, and this economy tanks the way we think it's going to, like it did back in 2007 and 2008, our ride isn't over yet. As professional property managers, our ride isn't over yet. If the market crashes behind this, buckle up, folks. You're going to find yourself negotiating with the tenant for less rent to keep them in the property because houses similar to yours are renting for half as much money as you're charging. So we're going to have to find ourselves lowering rents to keep them in the property, okay? Because it's expensive to paint and carpet if they vacate. So the idea is to keep them, okay? We're going to watch this market do this very quickly. If this keeps going the way that it's going, it might not last through the summer. And we may see our issues of charging more than we ever have in our life we're upside down. Okay, we might see the market just do this in a very rapid fashion. I've lived through it before, twice now, as a real estate agent and as a property manager. So I have a lot of tips and tricks to help keep you guys focused, on track, and filling up those units. Because even if we're not getting top dollar in rent, and I'll give you an example. I rented a house in the high desert. I rented it for $1,595 a month, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And in 2007, 2008, when the market crashed, I had to lower my rent to $895 to keep people in my property. Ouch. But is that ouch? Because we've been going up and up and up and up and filling up our pockets while we could. But remember, that goes this way too. As we go up the ladder, it also comes down the ladder. And I will tell you, when it's coming down, it goes down a hell of a lot faster than it increases. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Out in general, if the market makes a change, you may have to make some massive adjustments in order to keep your tenant in place so that you're not spending money on paint and carpet on a vacant unit, because that's expensive too. And when it starts to shift like that, we don't want to lose any money. Okay. I'm getting mixed. I answered that. Okay. Any new bills coming up in Sacramento about tenant landlord? Always. I watch the California Apartment Association and also AGLA. They have a legislative update that goes on, and they'll show you what bills are pending, what bills are most probably going to pass. If you can write a letter, that will help you know who to write a letter to. Okay. And Ivana, I see you're asking something about rent control. I don't know what you're speaking of. So get into more detail and I'll give you more detail. Remember, you guys, I've had a long week, so I'm not me. I'm trying really hard, but I'm not me. I know I'm exhausted and I'm trying.
Oh, Patty, sorry.
Yes.
I'm asking about the story that you told us earlier that you have to lower your tenant from 1595 becomes 800 something, the rent.
Yes.
So in that case, if everything go back to normal for the economy, I'm just asking, is this under the rent control or not? Because for the rent control,
Talking when the real estate market crashed in 2007, 2008, right around that time period, that's when my rent went from $1,575 to $895 in a very rapid fashion. I lowered my rent. My tenants started saying that they were going to move out. They gave me a 60-day notice. I told them I would lower their rent to market value if they wanted to stay, because the only reason they wanted to leave is because rents similar to mine were less expensive. So they agreed to stay. I lowered my rent from $1,575, I want to say, to $1,275 to keep them there. And within 60 days, it fell again. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is it was going down the stairs much faster than it was climbing up when I was able to raise those rents. Okay. So in a 60-day period, you may see rents drop considerably. For those of my on-site managers in here, remember when we had all those concession wars and $100 moved you in? We will start seeing the move-in incentives. We will start seeing that kind of stuff come about just like we did in the last market crash where we're encouraging people to move in. We call them the concession wars because usually it's in a neighborhooded area and you're competing with whoever your competitors are in a 5-block radius or a 2-mile radius, who knows? But that's where the concession wars comes out. Who's offering the better deal? These people are giving you free credit checks and those people are giving you $500 off your deposit. So that's what we mean when we say get ready for concession wars, because it's a war of who can offer the best move-in special, who can get that tenant in their building rather than have a unit sit vacant. And for those of us that are an eye for an eye, and I call them that when you're dealing with a single family residence, because let's face it, if you don't have a tenant and they're paying you rent, you're bleeding. With a multifamily community, you could have 200 residents and you have only 50 units occupied or 100 units occupied. So you're trying really hard to get those other units occupied to stop, offset those expenses so that we're not bleeding money. That's all I'm talking about, is foreseeing what may happen in the very distant future, but my crystal ball is broken, okay? So what I'm doing is just letting you guys know, we've been raising our rents and trying to keep up with top dollar. Don't be surprised if it starts going the other direction, okay? I've seen that a lot in this industry, lived through it twice, know a lot of tricks.
Patty, I have a question. When
Yes.
you lower the rent, is this going to be temporary or is going to be like, that is going to be the base rent that you're going to give to them?
Well, it all depends. It depends on the scenario and the situation. When the market starts crashing, and let me give you an example, and I'm paying your rent of $16.95 or $15.95 for a 3-bedroom house, and somebody else has a 3-bedroom house up for rent for $9.95, I could go move to a house that has brand new paint and brand new carpet and save $500 a month. Why wouldn't I go do that? As a consumer, why wouldn't I go do that? $500 a month I'll be saving. Now, do you see why you want to try to negotiate them to stay there for a less amount? I hope that makes sense to you. Because I renegotiated a lot of landlord-tenant contracts in 2008 and 2009 to get the tenants to stay rather than vacating. It's much less expensive for the landlord, because if they do vacate, you are forced to paint, carpet, clean up the unit, advertise. If you can avoid those expenses by keeping them there and just lowering the rent, sometimes it helps. It just depends on what the balance is. Okay. All right. So I sent a tenant a disposition of security deposit, mailed it yesterday on the 21st day. Yay, this is a smoker's house. And there is tons of damage. I mailed that he owes me approximately $5,000 and I'm not expecting he will pay, and he moved to Texas. Okay, so he moved out of the state. Very important thing to remember there, you guys. Because when we're doing collections, collections cannot cross state lines. They stay in the state of California. So until the tenant moves back to California or tries to purchase a home in another state, they usually don't want to try to fix that money judgment against them. Just saying. However, I did not include any of the receipts that I have partial repairs for. Did I just make a big mistake? I know he will blow up when he sees this form. If it was estimated, you can still do a final. Once you have the final invoice, you have 14 days from receipt of the final invoice to do your final disposition of security deposit. I hope that answered your question. So if you do an okay, so I'm going to get into a little bit of a class here. You guys pay attention. We're talking about dispositions of security deposit. Sometimes it is literally impossible to get a disposition done within 21 days. Especially, let's just throw out an example, okay? Let's say you're at a sheriff lockout, bam, 21 days starts today, the day of the lockout. That's the day you receive restitution of the premises. So with that being said, that is day one, okay? If they were hoarders and pack rats and you name it. And the place is a mess. You can't even see the damages because there's so much stuff in there. There is no way you're going to have completed invoices for all the repairs that need to be done within 21 days. It is not going to happen. So what you can do is get estimates on everything. And at the top of your disposition of security deposit, you write estimated. Okay, you still have to send out your estimate within 21 days. Following along? Then if it takes a month, if it takes 5 months, if it takes 8 months, until you get the final receipt back, you have 14 days from the day you receive the final invoice to do a final disposition of security deposit and get it out with all of your receipts. Okay, for expenses. So that's how you buy yourself more time. Make sense? Everybody's like, wait, what did Patty just say? We could do estimated dispositions of security deposit? Yes, you can. They still need to be mailed within 21 days. You must have estimates on everything that you want to charge. And my theory is estimate high. Okay, we don't know what those estimates are going to be. Sometimes we have written estimates. Sometimes we didn't even get those back yet. So you can do an estimated disposition of security deposit. You must do a final within 14 days of receiving that final invoice you've been waiting for. Okay. Just to help you guys out a little bit more with a way to buy time. Why do you think rent may drastically lower? Is there a shortage? Yes, there's a huge shortage of housing in California. We're also dealing with a strange economy, and it reminds me of everything that happened in 2007 and 2008. You guys, we were paying an arm and a leg for groceries at the grocery store. The price on everything went up. Consumables, meaning at the grocery store, gasoline, prices were through the roof in 2005, 2006. You guys paying attention? We had a supply and demand issue. Builders were building like crazy. And then the Dow fell. And then the real estate market crashed after the stock market crashed. And then everything went with it because so many hundreds of thousands of people lose their jobs when the market crashes. If you're involved in real estate, lending, appraisals, all those people all of a sudden aren't employed. Make sense? So it causes, if you will, a recession. Hope this is all clicking because all the signs are there, you guys. We have a supply and demand issue. That's why when houses hit the market, they're gone. Now we're seeing them sit there a little bit longer. They're not flying off the shelves. They're not getting ridiculous top dollar amounts. Okay, we're seeing a change happen. Pay attention to the changes. Rent lowers because nobody can afford it. I mean, come on, let's be realistic here. Builders can't keep affording paying $80 for a sheet of plywood. Just like we can't keep paying $7 for a gallon of gas. We're not getting paid anymore at our job. I hope this is making sense to you guys in a big picture, not just the little picture. I mean, if we're making $15 an hour and that's all we're making, and gas is going through the roof and groceries are going through the roof and the price of housing is going through the roof, at what point does the roof collapse? I have a tenant who gives me notice to vacate on the 1st and then withdraws towards the end of the month. Has happened 3 times. Can I tell them that if they don't vacate, it will be holdover with double the rent? No, you could tell them. No, you can tell them that you're not allowing them to withdraw their notice anymore and you expect them to be gone on such and such date. And if they don't vacate, don't accept the rent, start an eviction based on their failure to vacate. Wait, what did Patty say? I could hear you all right now. If you have a tenant that gives you a notice to vacate, look at it this way. What if you re-rented the unit and have somebody new that wants to move in? And now they can't because the other person won't move out. Can you evict the other person that gave you notice? Most likely, yes. You don't have to honor them rescinding their notice. They're yanking your chain. I'm going to assume this person also owes you rent. And the reason that they're keep giving you notice is the house they're trying to buy won't close escrow. What do I know? Oh my goodness, you guys, I am so tired. I apologize. I suppose that the tenant would have to have given the landlord the notice in writing, correct? What if they just verbally or texted? Can you verbally or text somebody to raise their rent? I'm gonna tell you guys this until I'm blue in the face. Kill a tree. You need it on paper in writing with a wet signature. Not an email, not a text. And Val, I know that your pig tenant and you have a few weird things going on. Your pig tenant is the one with the migrant farm workers that says they've lived there for the past 5 years. I'd love to call them myself. I want to call them. You always have weird stuff. I always have weird stuff. I think it just goes with property management in general that we all deal with weird stuff. What is my worst nightmare? I don't know. I threw up in a hazmat suit once in a respirator. That was pretty nasty. I've been locked in the trunk of a car, held against my will, pushed down a flight of stairs. Want me to keep going? I've had creepy things happen. Tenants do weird things. Mostly disgruntled tenants, usually at a lockout or revolving around an eviction. The sheriff's deputy that used to do lockouts with me in the high desert area, I knew him by first name. He was a very tall, thin man. And when I say tall, he had to be at least 6'6". And we went into a property one day and I knew him well. We went into a property one day and I heard a noise from inside the house. And I always stand outside and wait for the officer to he's searching for booby traps or people hiding in closets, who knows? And I heard a weird noise and I didn't recognize the noise right away. So I called in the house to him, "Hey, Stan," and he didn't answer me. So I called him again and he didn't answer me. And I was like, oh no, what if he's in trouble? So I actually entered the property and the noise I heard was those long window blinds blowing in the wind. It was on a slider door and I didn't recognize the sound because there was curtains throughout the whole house, except on the slider, there was those long blinds. That's what they are, but they're the up and down ones, not the side. They weren't horizontal, they were vertical blinds. And they were blowing because it was windy. So that was making this weird noise that I knew once I saw the door. And Stan walked back in the door and I startled him and he startled me and he said, "What are you doing in here?" I said, "I called your name twice and you didn't answer me. I was coming to make sure you were all right." And he said, "Oh, they left a dog back here. I'm giving it water." So funny things happen at me of sheriff lockouts. I learned Stan, we became acquaintances, if you will, because we worked together, but we didn't. And one day I had a new employee with me on a sheriff lockout. And we were walking the property and he reached down and picked up this kid's rubber plastic snake. And the employee threw it at me and it landed on my chest right here. And it just stayed there. You know, it's a little plastic rubber snake. It just stayed there. And I screamed, "Wah!" Well, Stan pulled his gun, pointed it towards me, and I said, "Shoot Steve," because Steve's the one that threw the snake at me. So yeah, I've had all kinds of weird, funny things happen. I've had some weird, scary things happen, and I've had some strange, disgusting things happen. We'll kind of try to leave that alone. I guess we all have those stories. What is my worst nightmare from a creepy tenant? Oh, I'd have to think about that. 4 things come to mind immediately. The pig lady was a liar, busted her illegally subletting to field work at $1,000 a head. Hold on, you guys got to hear this. The pig lady was a liar. Val busted her for illegally subletting to field workers at $1,000 each per month, and there were 12 of them. So she was accepting $12,000 a month, and her rent was only $850. You're welcome. I can't share all your guys' horror stories, but I can read whatever you write down there in the bottom. Yeah, you have no idea. And here was Val saying, oh, well, the lady's going to get rid of the pigs. She didn't even tell him about the 12 migrant farm workers that she was collecting $1,000 a head for in rent. 12 grand a month. 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and a trailer out in the yard. And what do you think she did with the money she made, Val? I can't talk about it. You can. I can't. She bought a new car. What else did she buy, Val? The big purchase. She bought a new house. That's right. She bought a house. So for a year, she's been renting to migrant farm workers, collecting $1,000 per head per month and paying her rent of $850. So I learned something early on in this industry, you guys. Never, ever believe your tenant, never, ever believe a landlord, and never, ever believe a coworker. Go look for yourself, go see for yourself. Everything is with your own eyes. If you saw it, then it happened. If you didn't see it, try to remember that mentality, okay? Yes, she bought a new car, a new house. David wants to know if she bought a new farm. I hope you're laughing because we are. Not at you, but with you. The things that tenants do are ridiculous. I spoke to someone earlier today calling the law firm that I work for, and they've been dealing with eviction since December of 2019. No, I'm sorry, December of 2020, and they still don't have possession of their unit. And that's in LA City. Ouch. Just saying, heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions against landlords. Try to keep that in mind when you're purchasing next time, okay? I don't know that I will ever purchase in LA County again unless I fully intend on living in it. No joke. Look at the county's moratorium. It's ridiculous. It's extremely difficult to navigate. And with that being said, we're seeing a lot of this happening in San Diego as well, because it's also a metropolis. I thought we might see a lot more kickback in Orange County than we have, because Orange County is also considered a metropolis, but it's mostly made up of buyers, not of renters. So I think that's why we didn't see so much kickback in Orange County. And for the most part, the tenants that are renting apartments in Orange County, for the most part, are professionally managed and seem to be paying their rent without too many hiccups. Does anybody have anything else they want to ask me other than my worst horror story? Because I got 4 that come to mind. Do you think we should sell? I can't answer that, David. It's a financial decision that you have to make. And the reason that I'm saying that to you is I'm a broker. Remember, I can't tell you, run, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Okay, so I got to be very careful what I say to you. But I did learn during this pandemic that heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions for landlords. And what am I talking about when I say that? I'll give you one great example. LA County has a no eviction moratorium until the end of this year. It will kick back in on July 1st when the state law ends on June 30th and is scheduled to go through the end of this year through December 31st. They are talking about extending that to June of next year, 2023. What? Oh, it's a metropolis. It's full of tenants. Heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions against landlords. And in Ventura County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, for the most part, we're back to business as normal. Starting July 1st, we will completely be back to business as normal, with the exception of a city that may implement a moratorium. How will we know what the market rate for rent is? Like, how will we know to do the switch and start bringing rent down? I'll give you a great example. You'll start seeing, if you put a property up for rent and it just sits there and nobody's making appointments to look at it, hardly anybody's calling about it, all you're getting is Craigslist stuff, that's when you know, okay, if my property isn't renting, I need to lower the rent. So we lower the rent the following week by however much money we do it. Everybody has their own differences. You can run a current market analysis, or you can have a real estate agent or a broker run a current market analysis for you. Should be free. And that will tell you what the median price is in that neighborhood. And they can set that neighborhood to go in a 1 mile area and a 6 mile area. When they do their research, they can research it accordingly based on rentals or housing sales or things of that nature. You'll also start to see, and this is a big key, is you'll start to see move-in special on the apartments as you're driving around town, and you'll see $500 moves you in, $100 moves you in. That's when you really know that we're in a concession war, when everybody's fighting to fill up their vacant units. In all reality, landlords are getting their teeth back. So we're gonna see a lot of vacant homes in the next 6 months, would be my guess, because we have our teeth back. We're sick of being ran into the dirt and bleeding financially. So we want to get possession of our units, get them back up on the market as quickly as we can, so that we can start recuperating the money that we've lost by re-renting the property. So my guess is in the next 6 months, we'll see a lot of vacancies. Why do I say that? Call your legal counsel and ask them if there's delays in the court filings now, because there are. I saw an email come out from a very popular, expensive law firms stating the same thing, that they're seeing delays in case filings now. People are asking me, why? Why are the courts getting so inundated? Because of the state's law, people are actually able to evict if they weren't protected by COVID, right? So with that being said, a lot of us are trying to get possession of our units through an eviction because we haven't been paid, and we're evicting. As soon as we get that property back, we're going to paint it, we're going to fix it, we're going to put it back on the market as quickly as possible to get it re-rented. If we're seeing huge delays in court processing, filing, just the filing alone in Barstow takes 45 days to get a case number back. We're seeing delays in other courts taking 30 days to get us a case number back. What does that mean? The courts are inundated with new incoming cases, and they can't keep up with the flow. Okay, that tells me that all these landlords got some teeth and they're evicting. So as soon as they get possession, we're going to see a flood of vacants hit the market again. You guys all paying attention? It's not just you evicting, it's all of your landlord friends. How many people in this room, in our little chat right now, currently have an open eviction case? I do. I have one going. One. I have one open eviction right now. Does anybody else have open evictions? David has 2. Anybody else? I know Val does, but I'm not going to speak for her. 2 open evictions, 2 open evictions. Okay, can you guys hear yourself yet? 6 months ago, how many open evictions did you have? 0. Paying attention? Okay, so 6 months ago, the courts were flowing okay because we weren't attacking them in the masses. We are now attacking in the masses. Remember when I said fair housing made homelessness a protected class in the month of January of this year, and I couldn't figure out why in the hell they made homelessness a protected class. Oh, I know, because as soon as all of us as landlords get our teeth back, we're going to make half of the state homeless. Watch. And that's exactly what's happening. We all now have a few evictions going on. If you multiply that by the county and how many landlords there are, you can imagine the delays that we're seeing in the courts right now. And we are seeing delays. Two open evictions. Another tenant gave notice yesterday, so I'll be working on 5. Wow. So with that being said, please follow along. We now have tenants vacating. We're able to do evictions. The price of gasoline is still going up. The price of food is still going up. The price of wood is still going up. The price of housing, we're not seeing huge increases. We're seeing it start to level off a bit, and we'll see some shifts happen. You know, it's how much is the American dollar worth and how long can we hold on? Because they're not increasing our wages, folks, but they are increasing our expenses. I anticipate to see a market shift in a very rapid fashion. I expect to see in the near future a market crash. You'd be a fool if you don't see that. Ask the appraiser, ask a lender, ask your real estate broker, ask your agent, keep in contact with them, ask them what's going on. Call your lender and ask them, hey, are you doing a lot of refinances or new purchasing right now? And then this is my favorite. Oh, you know, we're going right into the summer months. So, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. Or, oh, we anticipate to see an increase in the summer months. So when I was actively managing property for profit for a company as a regional manager, I will tell you the summer was my busiest, not just the summer and Christmas, it was my busiest time of the year. And spring break, we were slammed. Christmas through New Year's were slammed. Thanksgiving were slammed. Do you guys know why? Took me a while to figure it out, but I finally did. Well, in February, everybody gets their income tax refund. So usually they want to use that money to put down for a first month's rent and security deposit to move. So usually we see that activity going on around that time period. In the summertime, if you're a teacher or someone involved in that type of field, you don't work all summer. So it gives you plenty of time to move. The kids are out of school, but right before school starts, you want to be nestled in. So we don't see a lot of vacancies, or we don't see a lot of move-ins happening in August, September, when school starts. They're already there. And then over Thanksgiving, I usually had a bunch of move-ins and move-outs. Same thing over Christmas. It's because we have a week off of work. We have 2 weeks off of work. It's a great time for us to move. We're not losing any money. We're off anyway. So in the property management industry, it's usually when you're the busiest. I hope that all makes sense. But right now, you're right. We're in uncertain times. Go look at your local rental that's in the newspaper. See how many weeks they've been advertising that property. See what they're dealing with. That's a good way to check on what's going on. Watch something when it hits the market, see how long it takes for it to go away. If they're sitting and you're seeing the same ads over and over and over again, I would say that we might be a little stale at the moment. I don't see people offering $10,000 cash bonus at the close of escrow for a vacant unit. I'm not seeing that anymore. So I am seeing a change in the sales market. I got a feeling if we can't evict these people in certain cities, we're gonna see potentially some foreclosures coming about. I mean, come on, some of these landlords, they can't keep holding on, you guys, they can't. I've watched people take money out of their 401ks and their retirement funds trying to make their house payments and pay their legal counsel in order to get their property back. So I have no doubt we're going to have part of our team fall off because they can't continue to hold on. We'll see how it all plans out, but if it goes like 2007 did statistically, and let's face it, I don't have to tell you, the real estate market changes every 15 years-ish. Okay? Who is evicting due to health and safety violations or elder abuse of the landlord in LA City? Are you asking if anybody else is doing that? Because I know there's a few health and safety violations, elder abuse of the landlord. There's no such thing. See, landlords can harass tenants and be sued for it, but tenants can harass landlords and they don't get sued or elder abuse for not paying them. We don't have the same rights tenants do, you guys. We're the minority, okay? Not the majority, we're the minority. We're actually doing quite a few evictions in LA County currently at the law firm that I work for. Quite a few. Some of them are non-payment of rent, some of them are nuisance, some of them are health and safety violations. We're doing quite a few of them. In fact, I took a list of lockouts from a sheriff's deputy before I got on this Zoom meeting call. So it is happening. It is possible. It is going on. And expect to see some delays in the courts because they are inundated. No joke. Barstow Courthouse takes 45 to 60 days to get a case number. If you want to build a case on cause, you need to make sure that you're talking with your legal counsel regarding the city that you're building the case in. Why do I say that? I'm going to make this real simple. When you guys ask me a question, hey, can I do this in Riverside? I don't ask an attorney that does things in LA County. I ask one that does it in Riverside. I hope that makes sense. You want to ask an attorney that is predominantly aware and of how those judges act in that courtroom, because then that attorney knows, okay, you only need one curable breach of covenant and you can do a quit, because in that county, the judge allows that. But in this county, you need 3 curables before you do the quit. And in that county over there, you need 5. So what you really need to do is ask your attorney, how many curable breach of covenants does it take before I can do a quit notice based on a nuisance that is doing this or is doing that? And they will give you the best information that you could possibly get. Uh-oh, we're asking Patty a question that I don't know I'm going to be able to answer. LA City, downtown LA. is how I read that. Which Esquire or legal service, non-RSO, smoke detector unplugged, blocking common areas. You have any code enforcement violations, or is this all your complaints? Because I'll tell you right now, fast eviction service does downtown LA. How do I know? I work there. Michael Brennan's office does downtown LA. Dennis Block's office does downtown LA on a nuisance. It just is, you're gonna have to find out from whoever your legal counsel is, how strict those nuisances needs to be, or how stringent those nuisances actually are, and how many curables you need before you can do a quit. So the best thing you could do is call your attorney and ask them based on what's going on. I mean, if you have somebody that is knocking on neighboring residents' doors with an 11-inch butcher knife, with police reports and an arrest record, that might be a 3-day quit and not a curable, okay? So you really need to talk with your legal counsel. I have to be very careful what I say, because it all determines on which area you're in of how those judges act in that courtroom, okay? So what an attorney may tell you to do in LA County may not apply in San Bernardino. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Like, I want to be able to tell you the process and procedure is, but the reality is it varies from area to area. Like Barstow Courthouse is very pro-law. They're not pro-tenant, they're not pro-landlord, they're pro-law. Make sense? In LA County, we see that the judges there are pro-tenant. Okay, makes sense? In San Bernardino County, we may see that they're pro-landlord. One and done. I mean, it just depends on the area. And those are the questions you need to ask your legal counsel is, hey, I have a nuisance case. I don't know how stringent the nuisance is based on that court. Like, I'll tell you right now, unauthorized occupants and unauthorized pets are a no-fly in LA County. You have no teeth, or failure to allow entry. Keep posting 3 days until you get the right amount of violations. Keep posting curable breach of covenants and doing your 24-hour notice afterwards to re-inspect. That's a big point of a curable notice, you guys. If you don't go back and re-inspect it, it could be dead on its face. So make sure you're serving that 24-hour notice on the 4th day to go in and see what that looks like and re-inspect. But Val's right. If you did it this month and then next month everything was okay, and then the following month they did it again and you served the notice, what you're now showing is a pattern to the judge of the nuisance. Okay? Okay, we told them once before they were good for 2 months, but then for the next 3 months in a row, they did it again. And then they were good for a month and now they're right back at it again. So it's showing the longevity. So Val is spot on saying, if you have a material breach of your lease, serve the notice. You may not be able to do the 3-day quit, but the curable may pave the road for you to build a case on a nuisance down the road and be able to bring all these curable notices to face. To show the judge, hey, Your Honor, I worked with them, they fixed it. A month later, they were back doing it again. I dealt with it for 3 months, they didn't fix it, and then they fixed it again, and then they went back to it. So you're showing longevity of the issue and how it's an ongoing nuisance. All right, does anybody have anything else? We've been in here for an hour. Tenant smoking marijuana, I'm assuming that's what hold on, let me pull it up and read it. Hang on. Tenant smoking. Okay, if a tenant's threatening you, that's a problem. Feral cats with coyotes coming towards. Feral cats could be a problem. you could serve 3-day curable breach of, I don't know what MAJTBD is. I'm assuming that that means marijuana and it's a typo. Yes, I figured. Some kind of drugs. Smoking is smoking and it's not allowed if it's not allowed as smoking. It's a typo. I'm not high. That was funny. See, I always say the lawmakers in California are high. That's why they made marijuana legal. And that's why they write such ludicrous laws is they're high. So, yes, you want to serve them for smoking. You want to serve that they're attracting feral cats and feeding feral cats, if that's in fact what they're doing is feeding and encouraging them. So can you serve a 3-day notice if they're threatening you? Yes, but you don't call it, you're threatening me. It's the right to quiet enjoyment. Okay. So if a tenant comes in and they're bitching at you in your office and there's other tenants that are hearing that, they're affecting the right to quiet enjoyment. Your quiet enjoyment, my quiet enjoyment, our quiet enjoyment, the neighbor's quiet enjoyment. It could be the right to quiet enjoyment, absolutely, and a 3-day curable breach of covenant. In the event that you have 2 tenants fighting with each other in a multifamily community, you know, the tenant in unit 6 and the tenant in unit 8 are going at it again. They get a 3-day curable breach of covenant because they're affecting the right to quiet enjoyment. Absolutely. Smoke is smoking. It doesn't matter if it's marijuana, crack, sage, cigarettes. If you have non-smoking, it's non-smoking of anything. Period. End of report. Enforce your non-smoking policy because it affects the right of quiet enjoyment. It's also non-smoking. So there's multiple things you can throw at them. And usually when I throw a notice at somebody, I don't throw one thing, I throw everything that's going on. Exactly. Marijuana smoke is an issue. I mean, it's no different than smoking cigarettes without filters on them. The residue that it puts on the walls and in the housing is ridiculous. So definitely marijuana smoking is a bad thing. I mean, we had a tenant in an apartment community during COVID that didn't have anything better to do. So they were smoking consistently inside their unit. And there was a neighboring resident next door with 2 small children, and it was coming through the AC venting. And she was telling me, I feel high, I feel high. I don't know if she was high or not. I don't care. We can't have that kind of behavior going on. It's affecting the right of quiet enjoyment for neighboring residents. And let's face it, if we don't do anything and we allow this to continue, our other neighbors that are sick of it could all get together in a class action lawsuit and sue us, the landlord, for not doing anything about it. So my theory is do your job. You wrote those rules, make sure you're following them. All right, I'm going to get off of here. Besides quiet enjoyment, whatever you call it, put a 3-day to quit or curable. It's usually a curable. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you do a quit notice, I don't want you to do a quit notice. I don't write my own quit notices. I just learned how to about a month ago, and I still don't feel comfortable with it. When you serve a 3-day notice to quit, I'm going to tell you right now, the court doesn't like it, and the judge is already looking down his nose at you. Because you told that tenant, you got 3 days, get out. So if you don't give them the opportunity to cure something, it better be bad. Or you better have attached all of your other curable notices as exhibits to the quit notice. Because whatever is on the quit notice is the only thing that can be argued in court. So if you don't attach all of your curables as exhibit A, exhibit B, exhibit C, showing all of the longevity of these existing problems going on and only what's on that quit, you might not be successful. Remember, whatever's on the 3-day quit or attached to the 3-day quit is the only thing that can be argued in court. If it's not on the notice, it didn't happen. Now, do you understand what I mean about doing your 3-day notice and attaching them as exhibits? Because it's no joke, you guys. No joke. And if you learned something today because of what I just said, you're welcome. 3-day quit notices, I always ask the attorney to do it because it's all that can be argued in court, and I don't want to mess that up. Tenant is a psychopath druggie. Are they an adult? If they're an adult and they're violent, you may want to call Adult Protective Services to check on them. How can 3 days to cure on an eviction? Because you use a curable notice, a curable notice, a curable notice, a curable notice, and then you do a quit. You can attach all of your curables to your quit so that the judge can see what's been going on the entire time. So when I do a 3-day notice to quit, I attach all of my exhibits, meaning all of the 3-day notices in the past to that notice. Oh, thank you, Erica. I love you guys. Mwah. And I am so glad you guys got your house back. That is awesome. You guys are funny. All right, you guys, I'm going to end this for today. I will 3 days to cure or quit only. Those are curables. And eventually what you do is you use those to support your quit notice. So when your attorney says you need 3-day curable breach of covenants to prove a nuisance, and that's the number your attorney gave you, then you want to do the 3-day curable, the 24-hour on the 4th day. If it's not corrected, you do 3-day curable, and you, yes, cure, support the quit. Bingo. Thank you. Mwah, you got it. Cures, support the quit. Yes. You got it. Because now you can go into a courtroom and say, yes, Your Honor, I gave him a 3-day notice to quit, but look how many times I gave him a curable and they didn't correct it. I'm so happy you learned something today. You're mind blown right now because you're like, bing, I got it. Bing, the light came on. Yes, and I attach those curables to my quit notice as exhibits. Yes, we are a support group for landlords. There's no other way to describe Wednesdays with Widget, because we just sit on here and talk about all the things that we want to talk about. Yes, we are a support group for landlords. Patty the Shrinko, you guys are bad. And I have no energy today, so I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll be this way next week too, just so you know. Yes.
Patty, I have a question. I sent an email to you with the lease agreement. So do you think I can give you a call after this, or what is the best time to give you a call?
Why don't you call me? And I know you might laugh when I say this, if it's okay with you. I have a very hectic day in front of me today. So give me a call about 7 o'clock tonight. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I am busier than a one-legged man in an ass kicking contest today.
Okay, I will give you a call 7 o'clock p.m. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It's just going to be better for me. Then I'll have a chance to review your rental agreement and go from there.
All right. Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. And thank you guys for bringing me cold drinks and things at the trade show. That was awesome. We don't get to leave there to eat or have a snack or anything. So yes, I get stuck there, and I appreciate you guys bringing me things to drink and eat and snack on and keep me breathing. All right, I'm going to get off of here. You guys have a wonderful week. No, don't bring me any edibles. I need to have my head clear. I can't be. And make sure you tell me it's from a landlord, not a tenant. Because if somebody tells me, oh, that's from a tenant, I will never touch it. It won't ever. I know better. Remember me? I've been held against my will. by tenants. Oh, thank you guys. And thank you guys for joining us again. Sorry about the little hiccup on it crashing, but I'm glad I got y'all back. All right, you guys have a wonderful week. If you're bored this weekend and you don't have anything better to do, please feel free to go to Victorville and enjoy the San Bernardino County Fair. All right, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you next week. Bye.